Bronze and Modern Gods. That's the logo. It's the show. It's the guys. John.
And Richard.
What's up, everybody? Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods. If you are not already, hit like, hit subscribe, do all that good stuff. Another Monday. We're here with you to talk funny books. Your somewhat drama-free zone.
Drama light.
Drama. It's funny books, folks. Let's get a grip. Get a grip. Underrated books of the week coming up, as always, along with the 25-year rule as we head back to 1998. You know, it's a new year, new 25-year rule. And, I have another visitor.
Someone else wants to talk to you through there.
Oh, well, I'm going to hold my nose, Richard, while you tell everybody about the hot book of the week. What is it?
A hot book of the week this week is 2001, A Space Odyssey, number 8. It's the first appearance and origin of Mr. Machine, a.k.a. X-51, later renamed Machine Man.
Jack Kirby. You know I love this.
Oh, I know. When I saw this, I knew this is right up your alley.
Why is this the hot book of the week?
I'm thinking it's because of the rumors that DC is placing a claim on the character.
No. All right. Our good friend Rich Johnson at Bleeding Cool. Clickbait. Click me. I want attention, everybody. I'm Bleeding Cool
nowadays.
Yeah. It's kind of like this guy over here. He wants attention, constant attention. This is what he does. He'll pee and poop until he gets your attention. It's kind of like Bleeding Cool. Let's talk about the discovery or rumor, however you want to say, on Bleeding Cool about DC wanting to claim ownership of Machine Man. So I went into the long boxes and I grabbed a copy of 2001. I happened to grab issue 10 that features at the time Mr. Machine before the name changed. And I do we leave this in? Do we edit this out?
I'd say leave it in.
All right. The things I do for you people. I'm going to keep going here. For the podcast listeners, the cat just took a major duty in the litter box in my office here. Issue 10. Look at the corner box. I looked at all the copyright information. So the corner box actually reads, if I can get it there, I don't know if it's going to focus. It says copyright 1977 Marvel Comics Group, based on concepts from the MGM Stanley Kubrick production. Furthermore, you go inside and you read the indicia. And the indicia says, copyright 1977 Marvel Comics Group, based on material, copyright 1968 by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. Seems real fuzzy to me.
So why do you think they're making this claim now?
I don't think they're making a claim. I think Rich was reading into things that, or, it could have been something that was discussed by a lawyer or two within the organization that doesn't know about comic books. They don't know about the nuances of licensed properties. Like, for example, there's so many precedents for Marvel to stand upon here if this comes to it. You've got the Micronauts, where they introduce new characters like Bug. Bug is not owned by Mego or whoever owns Mego now, or Hasbro. Bug is owned by Marvel Comics. Now, Bug was introduced in a licensed comic book, the Micronauts. More examples, the Dire Wraiths in ROM. Parker Brothers owns ROM. Hasbro owns everything now. But they don't own the Dire Wraiths. Godzilla and Shogun Warriors both featured a character called Dr. Demonicus. Dr. Demonicus is owned by Marvel. That's like saying, okay, the Fantastic Four appeared in Shogun Warriors, so now the company that owns Shogun Warriors owns Fantastic Four. No, the copyrights are who their go-to. But let's say, okay, they're going to go for this and they're going to pursue this. I am the head of business affairs for Warner. Why are you doing this? Why are you wasting your time and your money and the resources on this for a character that has been unable to sustain a comic book longer than 19 issues in its entire
Mhm.
history? What's the point? Well, we want to reprint 2001. We want to, because we own the rights and we want to reprint it. It's Jack Kirby. We want to put it in a big omnibus. Okay, how many units? What is the revenue going to be for this reprint? Get out of my office before I fire you. Right?
Right. Right. I just don't see. You're right. I don't see the payoff for this. What's if even if they did win, what is the payoff?
There isn't one. That's why I don't think it's true. I think it may have been discussed like really quickly, like, hey, do we own this? Because we own this movie. First of all, do they own the movie? Arthur C. Clarke wrote 2001.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure they own the movie copyright, but do they own the property copyright?
The IP. Right.
This is where it all gets, into semantics because the copyright on Marvel's version says based on material and concepts from the MGM Stanley Kubrick productions, not from Arthur C. Clarke's novel. So, like I said, it's all semantics. It's really shaky ground to really start a war with Disney over.
With Disney. Yeah, that's the key.
Why would you do this? Why would you spend a long, protracted legal battle with the mouse over
Mhm.
friggin' Machine Man? Don't get me wrong, love me some Machine Man, uh, but no, this is just stupid. Uh, Back to 2001 number 8. Tell us all about how it's selling.
Oh yeah. Well, this book, in GPA, there's a 9.8 sold in December for $600. So it's selling pretty well. I would count that as a good sell. There's a Mark Jeweler variant as well as an elusive 35-cent variant. For the 35 cent, the highest grade to sell is a 9.2, which sold back in November for $3,000. It was also the only 9.2 sale in the past few years. So it's a tough book in that 35-cent variant.
I had a
Roz?
35-cent variant of number 8 that I sold
Oh,
on. It was only an 8.5. I did have it
mm,
slabbed. I found it at a comic book shop in Concord, California, Northern California,
mm.
in the early 2000s, 2007. I guess it was late 2000s, 2007, 2008. I got it for $14.
Yeah, jeez.
And, it sounds great until I tell you that I sold it on the CGC boards for like $400. And I thought I was like, the man.
Yeah, yeah, those days. I've yet to see a 35 cent in the wild, of the variants.
Of anything?
No, of anything. I've seen 35-cent comics before, but not the 35-cent variant of 30-cent books.
I've found an X-Men 35-cent variant here at Earth 2 Comics in Sherman Oaks before. Uh, you know, Improperly marked. Sorry, Earth 2. I've found them, like I said, in Northern California. I found them when I was on a business trip in New York. Wow, you've never found one. That's so
Never,
crazy.
never. I know. I would love, everybody's fantasy is to find that Star Wars #1, the 35-cent variant.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
never found that one. No.
um,
2000, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, raws are cheap, 35 to $80. But there's slabs, lower grade slabs of this book. The price is low enough. I would probably just buy a slab instead of buying a raw. Raws go for about 35 to $80. So, they're pretty reasonable. If you'd like, though, I would probably go towards the CGC graded. You can get a CGC graded 9.2, for example, for $72.
I only have a 9.0. I should upgrade. I can't. I went into the bins and I thought, oh, I'll bring mine out and I'll show it. And I was shamed into putting it back because it was merely a 9.0.
Oh, so boy,
I,
wow, you have that in the house?
I did. I know. Disgusting. What's wrong with me? Yeah, kind of like the smell in here right now. But I will not let it affect the quality of the show. I will endeavor to go forward, especially for our members. What's that? You're not a member? Well, it's real easy. For the cost of $2.99 a month, Richard, say it.
It's less than a Starbucks.
Thank you. Less than a copy of a new comic book from Marvel or DC. You can show your support and you get a few perks as well, including exclusive live member only streams every Friday. You've got extra show and tell episodes on Wednesday. You got shout outs like these guys here. Look at the new names, more new names floating by. La 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 la. In fact, look at these people right now. They're important. This helps Richard and I go to more shows, including California Comic Con in February, and to provide you the coverage you crave from this channel. How do you join, you say? Well, gosh, I'll tell you. Just hit join. It's right here next to the subscribe button on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube right now and you're on your phone or you're listening on the podcast, you got to get on a laptop or a desktop computer, go to the channel and join. Also, there's a link in the description. So there's no excuses. Gosh darn it. Show and tell. Let's do it. That's one of my little David Spade noises. Like, pew. I love David Spade's little noises. I'll start. No theme, except I actually have DCs to show off.
Nice. Okay.
For once. Starting with Army at War, #1. This was going to be kind of a reboot of our Army at War, which ran all the way through the Golden Age and Silver Age and Bronze Age. That turned into Sergeant Rock. So this was like the new war anthology title, along with Men of War, which featured Gravedigger, which I showed a couple weeks ago. These were supposed to be companion books. Problem is, look when this launched, right before the DC implosion. So while Men of War survived, Army at War died after one issue. It only lasted this one issue, got canceled, and I suppose the inventory just went into the other war books as a result.
That's gotta be brutal for the artist and the
Well,
writer.
it was a war anthology title, so it was a lot of different 8-pagers by different artists. They probably just had a bunch of stuff in a drawer and just I'm sure GI Combat was 100-page or was a $1 book at that point, so I'm sure a lot of it went into that title after Army at War bit the dust. Shall we play taps for Army at War?
You go ahead. You served. You're allowed to play that.
What's your first book for showing?
My first book is a book from. I've always liked this book. This is Ghost Rider #15. This is second printing. Yeah, this is a gorgeous book. I love that gold cover. For those who don't know, this cover is a glow in the dark cover.
Turn off your lights. You do it?
I wish I could turn them all off, but you do get a glow in the dark effect from this book. I wish they had like a black light or something. That'd be pretty cool. But no, this is from that period of time when Marvel was doing all kinds of weird stuff with their covers, and just holograms and cutouts and all that fun stuff. So I thought this was great. Plus, the little price boxes got Ghosty in there. I thought it was a pretty cool book. So
sorry, that's a gimmick cover that works, right?
Yeah. Not too expensive. You can find these pretty reasonable. This has always been one of those books when I see them in the wild, I pick up because I think it's such a cool cover.
It really is. I remember when that came out, it flew off the shelves, like a Harley going through the desert. I don't know. They're not all winners, people. House of Mystery #290.
Another DC book.
Yes, more Bronze Age horror. DC this time. It is the first appearance of I, Vampire, beginning an unforgettable new series, I, Vampire, which was an attempt to keep this book going because, anthology books were not selling as we headed into the 80s. And so it worked. I mean, issue 290, House of Mystery ran to issue 320. I don't think it would have lasted as long without some sort of regular feature in it. And this was the one for House of Mystery. Just a crazy Joe Kubert cover. I'm not a big fan of Joe Kubert. You guys have heard me say this. For example, it's kind of like the George Perez Crisis cover that we talked about, where Superman's holding Supergirl. Look at how long his right arm is.
Hmm.
How his right arm has to be in order to hold the girl. But at least, unlike the George Perez cover, his arms are in the right proper position to support weight. Sorry, Julius Maloney, who was defending George Perez in the comments last week. Picking on Perez a little bit more, but this one of the weird titles that I collect. I wanted all the iVampires. There it is.
So just anthologies, you're right. And they just kind of died out, and I have not seen a resurrection of the format. So
You know, I think it worked when you had civilians reading comics. You know, you would be out waiting in line at the airport for something, and you'd see a war book or a horror title, and you pick it up and kill some time, and you
mhm.
didn't have to worry about following a continuing story. Whereas hardcore comics fans, they want a continuing story. They want a protagonist to identify with, and that's what they tried to do with iVampire. What do you got?
Mhm. Next one I have got is a Spidey Man book. This is Spider Gwen number 16. Sorry for the glare.
Yeah.
Uh, there we go. This is this is a variant cover from a story arc called "Sitting in a Tree." Basically, the romance between Spider Gwen and Miles Morales. So, if you've seen the kissing cover where the two of them are kissing, this is a part of that same story arc. It's a tough book to get.
I've never
And
seen it before.
yeah, I got this book raw and pressed it and got it slab, got a 9.6 out of it. But no, I just love the cover. You know, if you look at the perspective, they're actually sitting on the edge of the building, facing backwards, so you can see the street behind them, as opposed to sitting with the perspective you think it is. It's just one of those things that only spider people can do.
Hmm. What is that in the bottom corner? It looks like a lantern or something. What
Right
is that?
there, it's a
Yeah.
pigeon.
Oh, it's a pigeon. Okay. I see. We're looking down. Is that Dave Johnson cover, right?
Uh, it is a Dave Johnson cover. You're right. Jason Latour
Hey,
story and Robbie Rodriguez in the interior art.
look at that. Now, before everybody is impressed by that, I have to say, I'm good at identifying cover artists and artists until about the year 2002. After that, I'm useless. I mean, I can tell you Peach Momoko. That's about it.
Mhm. This is the
But
2017 cover, so you did good.
okay, good, good. I do you have 4 or 5 books today? I have 5.
I have four.
Okay, then I will whip through these. House of Mystery 314. Now look what's happened. iVampire's kind of taken over the book. The logo's now changed to emphasize
Mhm.
iVampire, and Michael Kaluta is doing the covers now instead of Joe Kubert. Looks amazing. And instead of the lead iVampire character looking like a grandpa, he's been younged up a bit. And now he's a little sexier, which makes more sense. Isn't that the whole point of being a vampire is that you never age and you're forever young?
It depends on who you take, and if you take your inspiration from Nosferatu, no. If you take it from Anne Rice, yes.
Hey, check out the Spider Gwen perspective on iVampire there. It's taking
That
lessons
is,
from,
yeah,
and look
that
at
is
the
cool.
how much I paid for it.
Oh wow, eight
And
bucks.
it's a 9.8 after I press it. It's beautiful. Thank you, House of Secrets from like 15 years ago, which I never bothered to rebag it. What do you have?
Next, I have another. Me and my variants. This is a foil edition of Department of Truth #1.
I've
I'm
never seen the foil.
Yeah, this is limited to, I believe it was 300 copies, 300 or 500 copies. It's a limited edition foil. There is another limited edition that is they did different covers for this book, but this one I paid a pretty penny for back in the comic boom. But I love the Department of Truth, the storyline and the concept. So when the foil came up and I found out that it was, you okay?
The other cat just went.
Oh,
So I gotta move this litter box. Go on,
yeah.
sorry.
No, it's yeah. So I'm just a big Department of Truth, and for some reason, in the Department of Mysteries, I'm sorry, Department of Mysteries, Department of Truth,
Great name for
is in the news. Well, yeah, well, um, is in the news at least on the the key collector top 20. It was on that list. I don't know why. I don't know if there's much James Tinian news. He's got so many properties that just the news of it may give some kind of impetus to purchase. But anyway, love this book. The foil is a version I did not have, so when it was available, I picked it up.
So when did that foil come out? Do you happen to know? Did it come out at the same time as issue 1, or was that a later?
Came out September of 2020 is the date on it.
That sounds
9/20.
when the original came out. So
Yeah, this was not like some of the foils that are out there are foils that came out after the first print. It's some significant difference. I think this was not one of those. Not a convention variant or something like that. Which got to do a lot of foils nowadays of those.
I don't have that. Sorry, you guys. This is the last time I'll mention it. My eyes are watering from the smell of these stupid cats. My last book for show and tell, Human Torch #7. Look at that cover.
You would think Human Torch and Namor would be fire and water, right?
Yeah, isn't that what it says? Human Torch versus the Savage Submariner in a war between fire and water.
Yeah, I was being sarcastic.
Oh,
Woo!
you know that science that shows that the cat waste affects the brain. It's the battle you demanded. And when I was a kid, I was obsessed with this comic book. It's one of my favorite comic books. The cover by Ron Wilson is amazing. I would just stare at this cover for many reasons. And I just love it so much. And then you open it up inside and it's Dick Ayers. This is the infamous reprinting of the infamous Strange Tales 107, where Namor suddenly has the powers to uh, emulate other fish, including a puffer fish where he blows himself up really huge like a puffer fish, an electric eel where he's charged with electricity. It never happened before, never happened again, I don't think.
Wow.
So, well, you know what? Fantastic Four 6, where he teams up with Doctor Doom, I think he uses a fish power as well, but that went away real quick. But just love this cover. This is a book that I want to get slabbed someday just to
Oh,
discuss.
yeah.
It's just really a good book. Also, a funny story. I was I think in second grade or third grade when this came out, and I saw on the newsstand, didn't have enough allowance money to get it. I wanted it. And a few months after it came out, a friend of mine, Scott Allison, shout out Scott Allison if you're still out there, told me, "Hey, I know someone that has that Human Torch #7, and he's looking for one of the comic books you have because he missed it. Do you want to go see if he wants to trade?" I was like, "Sure." So I get the comic book. I can't remember what comic book he wanted to trade for it. And we go to this apartment in our apartment complex, College Park Apartments, Elyria, Ohio. Shout out. And it's a guy like in his 20s and his wife.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, 6 or 7 years old. Didn't think it, come on up. I'll show you my collection. Went up into his bedroom. He had like, Silver Age books I had never seen. I had
Mhm.
never seen an actual Tales of Suspense with the old Iron Man armor, the gold armor. I remember vividly seeing his collection and trading him for this, not this particular copy, but for this comic book.
Mhm.
And I tell you that story now because it was so innocent. There was nothing weird or shady about it. And now these days, can you imagine inviting a 7-year-old kid up to your bedroom in your apartment to show him your comic books?
No, no,
I hope
no,
we
I
don't get
cannot.
flagged for that.
Can you describe that cover for those who are listening to the
Sure,
podcast, maybe?
sure. If you remember Strange Tales 107, it's a classic Jack Kirby Human Torch versus Submariner cover. This is just a reimagining of it, updating it a bit. and it's got the Human Torch whipping a fireball at Namor, who's blocking the fireball with his forearm. Um, brave move, I guess. Maybe there's enough water on his forearm to take away the sting, but it's just Ron Wilson. I used to love his covers, but then he would draw like Marvel 2-in-1 and would be so rushed and not as appealing as his covers. His covers were great.
I don't think it's his inker, dude.
It could have been the inker. Who knows? Do you have one more?
Got one more. This book is yet another book that I got through you, but this one was through my wife. It was my birthday a couple years ago at this point, and she came to you asking you about a book. So this is the book that you chose, Catwoman number 72.
Yeah.
Beautiful Adam Hughes cover. I love Adam Hughes' work. He did a significant run of Catwoman. I don't know the exact number, but he was doing DC covers like a fiend, and they are all gorgeous and distinct and featured his unique style of artwork. And so this one's a great addition. On the cover, you've got Zatanna in her long legs. She doesn't have fishnet stockings on there
Yeah,
though.
she's going bear.
And the stories, it's so it focuses on her, and you see Catwoman in the background as well. But yeah, Zatanna is an awesome character, as is Catwoman. So this is a great run. If you like Adam Hughes covers, definitely check out this run. Still affordable, and you can get some really, really great artwork from his through through this series.
I knew that you loved Adam Hughes. I knew that you loved Zatanna. I knew you loved Zatanna covers by Adam Hughes. And I didn't think you knew about that one because you know about all the Zatanna title covers he
Right,
did. And I
right.
thought, oh, I saw that. I was like, oh, I bet Richard does not have that one. And sure enough, it's a good cover. I wonder why
Yeah,
the lack of fishnets, though.
yeah.
Interesting. Well,
Oh,
maybe
thank you.
well, sure. Maybe one of you out there knows why Adam Hughes skipped the fishnets on that, and you can write us in and tell us in a segment we call Viewer Mail.
You've got
Here it
mail.
is, our first piece of viewer mail from Comic Padre, who is talking about my comment in last week's show where I said the MCU writes Thor as if he's Hercules, not Thor. And Comic Padre says, I never thought of Hercules as Thor, but Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man always makes me think of Hawkeye from the comics. Cocky, jokes at the expense of others, with a chip on his shoulder. I agree. That's a really good observation, Comic Padre. They obviously wrote Iron Man, tailored the character to Robert Downey Jr.'s strengths, which are all three of those things. But, at the expense of Hawkeye, the character in the MCU, who is just basically this emotionless cipher that runs around and says, I'll shoot an arrow at the aliens.
I know. I have to disagree. I the character of Tony Stark um, so fits Robert Downey Jr.'s real life persona that I have a hard time picturing anybody else in that role. I really do, and that's a testament to his ability to play that character. But I've always liked Robert Downey Jr. His Sherlock Holmes is amazing. It's one of my favorite characters in cinema of recent times. But yeah, he's really, to me, in my mind, he is tied to that Iron Man character. I realize that Hawkeye does have some of those same traits, but I'm sorry, he's just too perfect of a Tony Stark to do anything else.
It was great casting. I mean, when that was announced, you didn't have the outcry like you had for Michael Keaton as Batman.
Yeah, right,
Everybody
right.
was like, "Oh, that's that, mwah, right on." What is your first piece of your mail?
My first piece is from Comics Boom Tube. I love that name.
Great name.
Yeah, back issue shopping is so much more enjoyable than buying modern comics. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I would love to hear from people in the audience what your opinion is, but I get more thrills out of a untouched short box than I do out of a wall of books of new books and on Wednesday Comic Book Day. So
Yeah.
it's just the thrill of the hunt is just amazing, and frankly, a lot of my childhood are in those short boxes, and to pull up a book, out of nowhere like that, like that Ghost Rider book, will bring back memories that a new book just isn't going to have.
Uh, in defense for my retailer friends that are still slinging new comics, new funny books, you guys have heard me talk about it. Captain America, new series is good. There's a couple of independents that I'm enjoying. Is Love Everlasting over? I haven't seen a new issue in a while. I really enjoyed that. There is a new comic that I'm blanking on. It just came out this week. It's about kitties, cats. Oh, I'm blanking on the name of it, but that one was good. I'll try to remember for next week. My second piece of viewer mail comes to our email at bronzeandmoderngods@gmail.com from member Peter Eddy. Hey guys, love the show. Proud to be a sponsor of your channel. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
We're
Thank
glad
you,
to have
Peter.
you. You recently talked about how CBCS should capitalize on CGC and its scandals. I agree with Richard, and they should hit him hard with this new case scandal. I follow Rick at Immaculate Comics, and he recently did 2 videos on how easy it is to open and reseal CGC cases. He then tried an old CBCS case with some success. Viewers asked him to try a new CBCS case, and he failed. He said the newer cases are designed in a way that makes it near impossible to open without leaving evidence. And then Peter goes on to basically do a commercial for CBCS and their services. He points out the increasing parity with CGC on resale value. I have seen that as well. Vastly improved turnaround times, according to him. And he echoes what I said last week. They're thinner, so you can
Mhm.
store more. And he encourages Richard and I to try CBCS. I hope they're paying you, Peter. I have breaking news, Richard.
You do.
I am going to try a CBCS submission this month.
Oh, excellent.
It's going to be a combination of stuff I'm going to sell, and a couple of PC things. I'm not going to send my Yellow Claw #3 in. I want it to match the other 3 issues.
Mm.
But I am going to give CBCS a try, Peter. So if they lose my books or someone takes them home or there's damage, I'm going to come after you, my friend. Wink, wink.
I have some signed books that I've been, toying with the idea of sending in, just because it's the only way to get a yellow label with books that are pre-signed. So,
Try it.
yeah, I might try it. I might try it. I have been on a hiatus. Maybe it's time to try the other company out there.
Let's you and I coordinate so we can compare notes and talk about
Good idea.
others. All
Good
right. What
idea.
is your next piece of viewer mail? Say it with me. It's from who?
Our next piece is from our good friend Jason Brownell,
Brownell.
618, who's also a subscriber. Thank you, Jason, for your support. And we talked about X-Men 139 last week. X-Men 139 is also the first appearance of Heather Hudson, easily the central figure that Alpha Fight revolves around. Yes, Heather Hudson is the wife of the original Guardian slash Vindicator, and she takes up the suit and continues his legacy, and becomes the new leader of the team. So yeah, you're right, that was her first appearance. X-Men 139 is just a great book in general. If you are a fan of um, if you're a fan of Alpha Flight, or if you're a fan of Kitty Pryde, or just X-Men history, it's a great book to have, and it can still have it at a reasonable price.
Heather Hudson. You're Heather Hudson. Your husband dies. You claim his whatever the equivalent of Social Security is in Canada.
Mhm.
Uh, he comes back to life. Are you on the hook to repay the government for what you?
I'm sure there's a superhero clause in there somewhere.
That is life insurance. Are you on the hook? Is it fraud at that point because he's back alive? He comes back alive. You pay things back that you collected. Then it's revealed he's a robot. Do you get to collect it back again?
Uh,
But
yeah.
then he really comes back to life later after you recollected it. Are you responsible for Jean Grey's family?
Oh my
Imagine
goodness.
Jean Grey's family.
How many times has she's come back and forth? Yeah.
Will Progressive underwrite a term life insurance for Jean Grey?
If she's identified as a superhero, no.
Okay, checking. My last piece of viewer mail is from our good buddy Alan, the Gold Key four-color kid from Down Under. Alan, please work on bringing us to a convention near you. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I must say, a cracking show. There is no
Thank you.
substitute for the real thing. Thank you. Your show has great value stamped all over it, like a Marvel value stamp that's not cut out. Always certified for a huge laugh. Guaranteed to deliver all the news that fits. Always in great company. Stop. And John, what was your opinion on the fourth Doctor Who special? Exit stage right, Al. Al, I have not watched the fourth Doctor Who special. You know why? Do you know
Why?
why, Richard? Do you know why? They made it so easy with the third special for me to jump off and not give a crap anymore. I don't want to tell you. Have you watched it?
I have not. No, I haven't.
If I tell you why, it will spoil it. So, Al, you've watched it. You guys, you Whovians out there, you've watched it. Tell me if you disagree with me. But the end of episode 3, which all three of the first 3 specials were amazing. They end it in such a way that you can comfortably say as a Doctor Who fan, "Oh, everybody has a happy ending. I don't need to watch it going forward anymore. Thanks."
Yeah, why spoil it by an
Yeah,
additional story?
the new Doctor was good. It did not sufficiently grab me enough to sample the fourth special. However, because you asked me, I'm going to watch it this week and I will report back next week. How's that?
Oh, good. I am remiss. I have not watched any of the specials. So,
To watch them. They're so good, which is
ah,
weird because they were so good. You would think I would be like, okay, give me more. But it's
mhm,
almost like when you see episode 3, you'll see why I almost don't want to ruin it,
okay.
which is, it's good, but it's really bad in terms of keeping people on the hook. But it might just be me. What is your last piece of your mail?
My last piece is good old Charlie Dog 7683. Hi, Charlie. Um, Marvel and to lesser degree, DC always had inventory stories ready to go, and I never felt cheated when the expected story didn't come through. In fact, the inventory stories were better than 99% of the muck that's published today. I gotta agree with you there. The
Mm,
two
I've read some
Hercules,
really bad fill-ins.
the two Hercules miniseries and the concluding graphic novels are great. Sci-fi superhero material with unexpected tender moments. To
Yes.
me, Kirby Pride's solo story in Uncanny X-Men 143, where she fights Nagari Demon on Christmas Eve, is much more memorable than her introduction. It's also Byrne slash Austin's last issue as a regular art team. Yeah, I didn't. As soon as you mentioned the Nagari Demon and the Christmas Eve, that story came to light. That story is kind of a coming of age type of show for Kitty Pride. I also think it's kind of um oh boy, uh, what is that?
An
What is the name?
absolute rip-off of Alien?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's what I was told. I
yeah,
was hoping you were gonna say that. That whole story is a complete rip-off of Alien right down to the way she kills him.
yeah. I still like it. I still like it. I still enjoy it. I because Kitty Pride is at the beginning of that so innocent and so naive to the dangers that superheroes and supervillains, anybody with powers face, and she handles it with aplomb and does an amazing job of dealing with the situation. You're right; it is a clone of the story for Alien, but still, I think it's a great way of having her make the incremental step towards adulthood.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It was a good rip-off, but a rip-off nonetheless. And it just we didn't know it at the time. Man, it was the end of an era. Uh,
Yeah,
it's depressing because then you get into some nice fill-ins by Brett Anderson and the Despair arc, and then Dave Cockrum comes back, which should have been a cause for celebration, but the second time around for Dave Cockrum on Uncanny was just not the same. His art, everybody started looking two-dimensional and flat and stretched out.
Mm.
It was weird. I didn't understand what happened to his art style. It seems so long ago, but not as long as I don't know. It's the 25-year rule. Second into the new year, and I've already given up on segue. Rich, this one's for you. It is 25th anniversary of Young Justice #1.
Oh man, that's so
25
sad.
years.
That
Yeah.
is so sad.
The first issue of the ongoing Young Justice series by Peter David and Todd Nauck. This ran for 55 issues with the same creative team pretty much throughout, David and Nauck, which is unheard of these days. I hope I'm pronouncing Todd Nauck's name correctly. It also inspired an animated series, which I think
Mhm.
you would probably agree with me. It got really overshadowed by Teen Titans Go.
It
Young
did.
Justice.
Yeah.
The GPA for a CGC 9.8 of Young Justice #1 is $117. The last reboot for this book, it's not around right now. There's no Young Justice title. In 2019, Brian Michael Bendis wrote a revival for his Wonder Comics line, and that petered out after just 20 issues. Anybody care about Young Justice? Do you care about Young Justice?
I do. I really enjoyed the animated series. Think it did a good justice to the characters. I wouldn't mind having a comeback.
Do you have a run? Did you ever read it back in the day? You were kind of out at 98, right?
I was, yeah. I really didn't. I think my real introduction to it was the animated show, and it was good. Like everything else that DC put out. Well, most of the things that DC put out, um, Warner Brothers. It was a good show.
Here is the $1,000,000 question about Young Justice. Do those characters exist anymore?
Good question.
Robin is Robin Damian Wayne now? Is that who Robin is now? I don't know. I can't keep track. Is Impulse still around? Is there an Impulse? Who's Wonder Girl? Is there a Wonder Girl? Oh, yeah, the Brazilian woman is Wonder Girl now, right?
Right.
Yara Flor?
I hope she still is.
Is that Yara Flor or is that a drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race? I believe Yara Flor.
I don't think it's a drag queen, although it does sound like one.
I believe so. You guys tell us, Young Justice, do we miss it? Do we care? Who knows? You do. You can leave a comment and tell us as we go to our underrated books of the week. Speaking of Wonder Women, Richard.
Yes. My pick this week is Wonder Woman number 139, DC obviously from 1998. This is the first Adam Hughes issue of the run. He did an amazing run of covers for most of the run from 139 through 197. There were a couple breaks here and there. Followed up by wonderful Phil Noto covers after 198, 197. But I think this was an amazing run for a cover artist. And Adam Hughes' work is very detailed and very painting like, and to have a steady gig putting out covers for earlier we talked about his Catwoman covers, and now we're talking about Wonder Woman. Uh, this particular book has Yannick Paquette as the penciler and Bob McLeod as the inker in the book. This book, for me though, the real appeal is those covers. And like I said, most of the covers that he did in that run are they're still reasonable. You can still pick them up for 30-40 bucks a piece, except for issue 184, which is this cool cover. If you've ever seen it, you've got modern day Wonder Woman coming across a Wonder Woman from the 40s, and they kind of both are startled by their appearance. So it's a pretty cool cover. But other than that cover, they're all pretty reasonable. I would recommend picking them up again if you're an Adam Hughes uh, fan and you like the cover work that he does. This is a great DC run that he does here in the late 90s, early to the 20s.
We have a cameo from someone who's very camera shy.
Uh-oh.
There's Luna. Oh, there she goes.
Up.
She wanted to be up here,
Luna's
and then she changed her mind. Wonder Woman 139. I can't believe he did almost 60 covers. Am I doing that math right?
something
Let
like
me,
that, yeah.
yeah, 197 minus, what is that? 139? 58 covers.
He
Wow.
missed about 5 covers out of that run from, other people did covers for him. I'm assuming he needed a break or some reason. But yeah, every cover, and they are, his work. He's a very stylized, but he portrays motion very well and anatomy very well. So,
Well,
great
a good
covers.
pick. Great pick. I'm going to go back to Marvel and the Silver Age for this book, Tales of Suspense 59. This is the first solo Captain America story since the 1950s. It even says so right up here in the notes.
Mm.
I can't believe how cheap this book is, Richard. Still, I know you might be looking at this going, how is this an underrated book, John? Well, it's got that classic Kirby cover. Look at that. It's from November 1964, just 8 months after Avengers number 4 came out. A CGC 9.8 sold in September of 2021, the height of the comic boom, for $15,600. But ignore that. You can grab a nice 6.5 or like this one, a 7.0, anywhere right now from $152 to $435. Prices are all over the place for mid grades.
Wow.
Does
I
that just
remember
seem
we were
to,
looking,
yeah,
Forrest and I were looking for these for you a couple years ago, and the raws were 200 plus.
right? It just seems insanely low still for such an important key. The reason why is people don't think about this book as a Cap key too much. I think Avengers 4 and maybe even Tales of Suspense 58, the issue before this, where Cap is fighting Iron Man on the cover and they announce starting next issue he's going to be a regular feature. I think they get all the love, but this is so underrated. I think the fact that you can get a 6.5 right now for under $200 is just crazy to me.
I love the cover too. You get Iron Man in his hero pose, and then Cap in his traditional "I'm late, so I'm running into the frame to be to be included." He does that a lot. He runs a lot.
You know, he likes cardio. This reminds me of Detective Comics 38. Batman introducing Robin through like the little hoop, and it was
Oh yeah,
also, yeah, it was also redrawn a little bit for the cover of Marvel Double Feature number 1, which had Tales of Suspense reprints. So Tales of Suspense 59, underrated book for me this week.
awesome, great pick.
And I'm going to go spray this room with air freshener and scrape the box clean. And thank you, everybody. If follow us on Facebook and Instagram, never know when we're going to have a live sale or pop up here and there. In fact, we might even have a live sale on YouTube coming up soon. Richard and I will be at California Comic Con here in Southern California, February, first weekend in February. If you plan on going, please stop and say hi to us. And we will catch you next time. Richard?
Yep. Everybody, stay safe.
Members, we'll see you Wednesday.